Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 125 of Nostalgia Talk. I'm James, and I hope you guys had a great Easter. First of all, before I introduce the guests, I want to say a few words about Someplace Believing, which is the play that I just worked this weekend, Easter weekend. We had quite the turnout. We put a lot of hard work into it the last 3 months of rehearsals, and I have been there for all of them filming. We actually just started a YouTube channel, which is in the corner of the video if you want to see what we're up to. We're going to put a lot of cool stuff out there, including my documentary, which is on the Facebook page for Someplace Believing, was announced as Someplace Believing, The Outrageous, Unique, and Courageous Journey. I asked if we could shorten the name. That wasn't possible, but it'll make sense when you see the play and when you see the documentary. First of all, I want to thank the director, Muffy, for having me on board to record the show. I want to thank my friend Jared, who was in the show, for putting me in touch with Muffy. I'm glad that you and I met doing our show we did last summer, and I'm looking forward to working with you again. I had a great time working with the rest of the crew as well, the tech crew, Cameron, Effie, Nicole, Eli. Eli, I especially had a good time jamming in your car to All Time Low. We had a great cast, the two Sarahs, Janice, Zach, I mentioned Jared, Liz, I feel like I'm forgetting, Dylan, I feel like I'm forgetting a lot of people. Yeah, I think that I feel like I might have got everybody, but even if I missed out on anybody who was involved in the show, just know that your hard work and dedication, like I feel like we all made a really, really great team the past 3 months of doing this show, and we are indeed planning more of them. So if you want to see what's going on with that, follow Someplace Believing on social media. The links are in the description to our YouTube channel. And sorry for the long introduction to our guest, and let's give her a big welcome. I'm gonna try hard not to up the name. Please welcome CARLY Ciarrocchi.
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. Nobody ever nails it.
You know what's
Hi.
funny? It's easier to pronounce when you hear it than it is to spell.
Yeah, for
That,
sure, for
that was a
sure.
problem when I was doing this. So for anybody who doesn't know, CARLY is a television host and an actress. We actually announced this one on Nostalgia Talk social media a few years ago, but then the actors strike happened and we all just got really, really busy. But now we're finally able to do this. And for our listeners, this is actually take two because I have a very rambunctious puppy who is like, oh, you're in the middle of something. Our dogs have two jobs: calm their human when they're stressed and stress their human when they're calm.
So funny and so true.
It is very true. But for anybody who doesn't know, the last time I got all excitable during an introduction to these shows, I missed out on the guest credits. So for anybody who doesn't know, CARLY is a TV host and an actress who a lot of us, I think, remember best for hosting the Sunny Side Up show on PBS Kids Sprout, or just Sprout, which we never had here in Canada, but we did have PBS. I used to think it was just a programming block on PBS Kids, but PBS Kids is a programming block, so what difference does that make? So you remember her on the Sunny Side Up show, or Snug's House when it was rebranded as Universal Kids. And later she hosted the National Geographic show Weird But True on Disney Plus. And I have seen her YouTube channel getting ready for this, and she's posted a lot of really cool music videos as well. I think I watched the Sprinkler one.
Ugh, classic.
One of our, in some place believing, Zach, one of our actors, was doing a sprinkler dance, and that night of our rehearsal, when I watched him do that, my friend put on 80s music. We were going somewhere. I did a sprinkler dance. She's like, that's a really aggressive sprinkler.
I mean, it is, there are like a few different sprinklers that you can take on with your body, and I think they do range in intensity from like kind of chill, like the kind that just kind of go back and forth, and then the one that spins around, which you can hurt yourself. So you gotta be careful.
You know what's funny? On the radio this morning, they were playing that song, Get Into the Groove.
Mm, 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 mm. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So let's waste no more time. Let's get on with the show. So you've done a lot. I mean, years ago when you and I started talking about doing this, like this Q&A in my hand is actually from when we were talking about doing this. Um,
Amazing.
but as I was researching, you've done a lot, so it kind of makes me wonder, what did you aspire to want to become, and what were some of your biggest influences in anything?
I love that question so much. I think what comes up first for me when you ask is when I was in high school. I mean, I grew up doing community theater. So
Okay.
community theater was the first place where I really felt this sense of belonging. Like, I think there's something about kids and adults working together towards a shared goal that I really connected with. And I just felt like, oh, here are all the kind of like weirdos and artist kids in one place. So I really loved my community theater experience. And then when I was in high school, my high school did a production of the musical Godspell, which is just such a fun musical. It's where the song Day by Day comes from. And what's cool about
Oh,
it
a different
is,
Day by Day. I was thinking of a
oh,
song. I was thinking of Doug and the Slugs, which is a Canadian rock band. Day by day,
oh,
I'm feeling stronger.
oh my gosh, I don't know. But there's probably so many Day by Day songs, but
That one's on the radio, on Canadian
ah,
radio almost every day. So,
really? Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, while I was in this production of Godspell in my high school, we had this crazy thing happen where like a week before, I mean, you're a theater guy, like you were just involved in this theater production, so I think you'll like resonate with this. A week before the show, there was a snowstorm, and so school was closed for a couple days, and it was during our tech week. And
oh,
we
jeez.
obviously, yeah, a week before the show, like we obviously had no show. It was like we were a long ways off, but school was canceled, so we couldn't have rehearsal. And the group of us that was in the show met up at somebody's house. Eric Longo, who played Jesus, played on the piano, played through the whole show. We rehearsed the whole thing in Jenny Torgerson's living room. And then once school was open again, we rehearsed and it went so well. And there was the feeling of like we all did this as a group and we all did this together is something I think I've been chasing since then. And so, sometimes I'm a part of a collaboration where I am a writer, sometimes I'm a performer, sometimes I'm a producer, sometimes I'm a host, all the different things. But I think the thread that's in common is a bunch of people getting together to make something.
Mm. We actually, right after one of our rehearsals, like I took my equipment bag and like, which is an actual rolling suitcase that has all my camera and tech equipment in it and notes. And I go outside. I love winter. I really do. There's something really comforting about it. And so I go outside of the performance venue. It was our tech rehearsal at the performance venue, and it started to flurry a little bit, and I immediately came back out. I was like, "Hey guys, it's snowing," and they're like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "What's wrong with you guys? I was the one happy about it."
Well, I mean, yeah, weather can threaten a production, but the show must go on. So,
Yeah. That actually was going to be my next question if you did
ah,
school plays. So that's a
yes.
perfect lead in, but it makes me kind of wonder what was your first job in the entertainment industry? Like, did you go to
Mm,
school to like for a particular study of that, or like what?
yeah.
How did that all start?
Yeah, I studied theater at Northwestern University in Chicago, and had such an amazing time doing theater productions there and student theater productions. And then I graduated from school and moved into the city of Chicago, because the college is in Evanston, which is technically like an hour outside of Chicago. So I moved
Right,
into
yeah, that
Chicago.
was mentioned in Mean Girls.
Oh, yes, yes, sure. Good memory. So, my first couple jobs immediately out of school were not straight up acting. But interestingly enough, knowing what you know about what I do now, it's like, was it always my destiny? Because the first couple jobs I had out of school were I was an early childhood education teacher at a place called Bubbles Academy, which was a preschool, so little kids. And I was a DJ with Radio Disney in Chicago. So I did a
I
lot of
read
like,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
I
Which is
have the first album I ever owned actually was a Radio Disney CD, which is actually in this
really,
very room.
ugh,
Um, and it had like this very eclectic mix of like Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, Christina
ah,
Aguilera, Britney
sure,
Spears,
sure,
NSYNC,
sure.
Will Smith. And like that's now the kind of music I really listen to. I apologize to any of my friends because I know I've tortured you guys so many times with that.
No way. That's the realest stuff ever.
Yes,
This was
it
like
is.
this moment, the moment when I worked for Radio Disney was the height of High School Musical, like when the original High School Musical came out. So we
Oh
all had to like
wow.
know the dance moves because we weren't like on air. We were out at events in Chicago. So we'd have to do all the choreography to like High School Musical, and then I'd, give out Jonas Brothers tickets to whoever was dancing the best.
Nice. I'm going to see the
Um,
Jonas Brothers
Oh,
for the
amazing. So
second
fun.
time.
Nice. Oh, I bet they're so. Actually, wait. I was about to say I bet they're so good live, but I actually went and saw them at some point when they came through Chicago, because my friend and I, who were Radio Disney DJs, like got a hookup. But so those were my first two like paying jobs outside of college, which are kind of like, industry adjacent, I would say. But my first acting job, I think, was a play that I was in called 1001, which was like about the 1001 Nights. It was like a retelling of that story. But I did a lot of like small plays. It was called storefront theater in Chicago. So it wasn't like the high, like the Goodman and the Steppenwolf were sort of like the highest levels of theater that you could achieve in Chicago. And then like there was a step below that, didn't pay as well, but it was like often scrappier and kind of interesting, wild stuff. So I was like in that theater scene for a couple years, and it was really great.
Nice. It's kind of funny you talk about being a part of Radio Disney during the High School Musical era. I just did a retrospective on not High School Musical, but something from around that time, Hannah Montana.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, and so it was also the height of Hannah Montana, obviously. So we did all the
Everything became
choreography.
so popular almost immediately. Like my sister and
Yeah.
I, we were talking about that the other day about all, because I think the big ones were High School Musical,
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Life, Raven, and Hannah
Uh-huh.
Montana.
Yeah,
That's our
yeah.
generation.
Yeah, that was like really what was that's like the people that we were serving at that time. Like the audiences were coming to hear those songs. So we knew like the what is it like rock in the fire side to side. Da, 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 da. What
Hoe
song
Down,
is
Throw
that?
Down.
That's it.
It
Oh
was
my
from the
goodness.
movie,
Yes.
the Hannah Montana
Yes, Hold
movie.
Down,
Yeah.
Throw Down. So I like knew the whole dance to that. And then like when High School Musical 2 and also Camp Rock, like we always knew the dances and then we would do them at these events. But it's funny because people tell me all the time that my voice sounds like Miley Cyrus. I don't know if you think that, my speaking voice. So I get that a lot from people. And then it was just funny that I was working for Radio Disney. So
Just have you do for your YouTube channel a cover of Wrecking Ball.
I know, right? I will have to figure that out.
But you brought up being a teacher, which is really interesting. Did you kind of, because my mom's a teacher,
Mm.
and I've heard of like, I think it was some of the cast of Sesame Street, like the early Sesame Street, who before even auditioning for the show were preschool teachers. And one of my previous guests actually was Murray from the Wiggles, and
Aw.
he and Anthony and Greg out of the OG group, they were likewise studying to become preschool teachers. I think that's who I
Yeah.
was thinking of actually.
Okay.
And then they formed this empire of kids entertainment.
Hmm.
And maybe for Sesame Street as well too, because I feel like that's possible. But did you use what you had learned from being a teacher to host the Sunny Side Up show?
100,000% yes. And I
Okay.
think there's a little bit of a pattern of like a lot of the hosts that I worked with at Sunny Side Up and just on other projects had a legitimate background in teaching little kids, whether it was preschool or even preschool, preschool, or even younger than that. But yeah, I logged a lot of hours at Bubbles Academy teaching music, teaching movement, running birthday parties, playing. I would play music at Whole Foods in Chicago once a week. So I would be on the guitar with a bunch of babies in front of me. They'd be like climbing the guitar stand and ripping the guitar out of my hands. But so I had a really, when we were shooting Sunny Side Up, we didn't have kids actually in front of us, but I had so many hours logged with actual kids in front of me that I could draw on that experience pretty quickly in terms of the style of asking a question. The way that a lot of preschool television is interactive. Not every moment in a moment, not every moment in preschool television wants to be taken out to the audience. Like, what do you think? I think it's kind of particular what moments you toss out. And I think my time in the classroom helped me know when was the right time to ask the kids at home to engage, and like what was the right pacing, because I had experienced it so much in my previous jobs. So, and I had written a lot of music for kids for my work in the classroom, just little ditties for different theme weeks and everything. And when I got to Sunny Side Up, I knew I was going to be hosting the show, but they did not tell me ahead of time I would also be writing and producing. So all
Oh,
of the
that's
hosts,
interesting.
yeah, all the hosts were also writers and producers. So every week we'd collaborate with whoever was puppeteering Chica that week, and we would write the segments, write sketches, write recipes, and write music. So everything that I had done before Sunny Side Up really fed in nicely to the full ask of that job.
Hmm. So how did you end up getting involved with Sprout?
Yeah, well, I was living in Chicago and I was an actor, and I was,
Are you
you know,
from Chicago, by the way?
no, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah. So just came out for college and stayed. And I was working, a million different jobs. And I had been with one agent for a couple years and she dropped me. And I think it's important to share because I think moments of like failure where you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? That have another side to them are
Yeah,
just so
I've
important to
definitely
share.
felt that as a freelancer as well.
It's so hard.
But
It's so hard.
it's so crazy. Like I've been constantly doing something since last summer, basically, and
Nice.
that has really led to like that play I just mentioned. I mean,
Yeah.
that summer project I did, I met one of the actors, and I heard he was doing another play. I was like, "Hey, buddy, can I film it?"
Right.
And I continued getting other work as well. Like I filmed movie
Yeah.
premieres, sporting events. I did some other events as well.
Okay.
Um, I actually just did another stage show before the one we just did. So
Well, it's like work begets work. It's like you
yeah.
have one thing and then the next thing comes along and but sometimes
Yeah,
yeah,
but during that
freelance.
long gap, it's a lot of
Whew.
what am I gonna do
Yeah.
now? Like I feel
Yep.
like
Yep.
I've never admitted this, but I feel like I put way too much pressure on myself.
I think it's so normal and I think it's like a requisite part of being a freelancer and it doesn't I don't think it ever changes. I think you just get better at like talking yourself through the moments, the seasons when work is a little lighter. It's like I have to like write myself a note that's like you will work again, you're gonna be fine, that I can read in those moments when I'm like, drowning, and then inevitably it comes around again. So that's what happened to me. My agent at the time dropped me and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna work again. And so I was taking just general meetings with some agents and I spoke to one. We had a good connection, but I didn't hear from her for a little bit. And then she said, I got an email from her that was like, here's a audition for a live preschool morning show. I just think you'd be a good fit. And so I got put on tape in Chicago. And here's another thing I like to share is I looked at the hosting lineup and I was like, oh, nobody wears glasses on the show. And I wear glasses. I have contacts in right now. So I went into the audition in Chicago, which was just getting put on tape by a casting director, and then they would send it to Sprout. So I went in for the audition and I had my glasses on, and the casting director was like, oh, you have to take those off. And I was like, I can't, I literally cannot see without them. And she's like, well, fine. Do one take with them on and one take with them off. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And then about a week later, I heard from my agent that they were going to fly me to Philadelphia for a callback, which I was so excited for. So I get to Philadelphia and I go into the Sunshine Barn for the first time and I meet Chica and I'm doing my audition wearing my contacts and I do it once or twice through and they're like, that's great. And they were like, hey, do you happen to have those glasses that you were wearing in the audition? And I was like, you better believe I do. And so I switched on to my glasses and did the rest of the audition like that. And then when they hired me, they were like, we want the glasses to be a part of your look. And I was so proud. And so that's how it happened. So I left Chicago. This was 2012 and moved to Philadelphia, which is where we were shooting at the time, and
Okay.
had that job for the next 6 years.
It's interesting you talk about doing music because I did watch a couple of clips of the Sunny Side Up show getting ready for this. As I mentioned before, we didn't have it. I don't think we had it in Canada. I
No.
couldn't find it on any of the TV guides. I have been to the States,
Hmm.
but most of the time they're playing for the kids like Playhouse Disney or I think it's called
Yeah.
Disney Junior now, which of course is up my alley, but it would have been
Yeah.
nice to be able to watch that live. But with you playing with you being a musician, one of the clips I really loved to watch was I think it was you and Chica were baking cookies, and Chica was like super eager for the cookies, and you were like, okay, well, why don't we take our mind off of it? Why don't we sing a song? And Chica does this weird little squeak or his weird little
Uh-huh.
language that he has, and like, okay, yeah, we can do a song about the cookies, and you were doing it on a ukulele, I think it
Ukulele.
was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun. I think that's one of the first songs I wrote for Sprout, actually. And I think the style of
Very
music that,
creative. Come on,
yeah.
cookies, bake a little
Oh
faster.
my God, that's literally it. I love it. But I think the style of music that we wrote for that show was less like songs and more like little sticky lessons or like little sticky tools that a parent could use or anybody could use. I mean, you could swap in anything, come on, cake, bake a little faster. I think it was always fun to just think about how music could be used as a tool. And yeah, there's some of our stuff has been taken down at this point on YouTube, but used to be that you could see a lot of it on Sprouts YouTube, which then became Universal Kids YouTube, which then became Peacock Junior's YouTube. But a lot has been taken down. And so I'm trying to post what I have because we have an audience that is still watching these videos that have been off the air for a while. But I know in classrooms there are a bunch of our songs that still get play. So I just want to make sure those teachers and kids have their songs if they want to watch them.
I mean, it works in home ec class. In my home ec class, we would cook a lot, so I could have just done. I don't remember ever making cookies, but
But you could.
come on, French fries, bacon. I do remember making French fries in
That's
home ec
cool.
class.
Delicious.
Well, it was junior
Um,
high home ec class, so
okay,
we were
that
able
sounds
to
more
we
age
were able
appropriate.
to expand on what
Yeah,
we made.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't think you would have gotten our show in Canada, but our show was similar to, I think, like what TVO Kids was doing, maybe. Like, did they have an interstitial or oh no, YTV Treehouse?
Yeah,
I don't know. There's
Treehouse is the one I remember, and
okay, yeah.
this is something I actually talked about with Murray,
Mm-hmm.
because the Wiggles, the way he remembers it is that it started out as interstitials
Yeah,
as they were touring. It would just be them performing
correct.
live in between TV shows, and
Yeah.
Treehouse did that as well. And I actually had on the show one of the former mascots
Oh my
from
gosh.
Treehouse.
Fun.
There was a little bit of a story talking about food when it comes to promoting food when it comes to kids.
Uh-huh.
um, I asked Murray about the fruit salad song for the Wiggles. I was like, how did that
Classic.
happen? Because there's not a lot of dancing to it, and
Yeah.
a lot of the classic songs, there is a lot of dancing to it. It gives the kids something to do. But for fruit salad, you're just singing fruit salad, yummy, yummy over and over again. And Murray had said, well, if we're going to promote food, might as well make it healthy food. And it's funny
Yeah.
because Denise Oliver, who was one of the former mascots for Treehouse,
Uh-huh.
she she told me that the producers actually would ask the cast, "What food are we gonna do?" And they would try to manipulate them into every junk food imaginable.
That's so funny. I mean, look, we did the same thing on Sunny Side Up. Every week we'd be like writing our show, brand new because it was live, and we'd usually put a couple recipes in and we'd be like, okay, what could we design for this week that would like help us grocery shop, our personal grocery shopping. So it's like, oh, we'll make guacamole and we'll get too many avocados and then we can take some of those avocados home.
I think out of what I've seen getting ready for this, I think my favorite when it comes to food was the berry smoothie.
Mm-hmm. Another classic, another classic. Yeah, and I think it was fun to try to find recipes that were healthy for the most part. But then like offered us some other way in for play or meaning making. So it was never just about making a recipe, but maybe about working together, maybe about like get experimenting with something you've never tried, or like make playing with your food in the sense that we're like making something. My friend Kim, who was one of the Chica puppeteers, I remember very specifically during an Oceans Week, we did this like croissant with which is not healthy, but a croissant with almond butter. Actually, that's extremely unhealthy, but it was like a crab croissant. So we like made this whole plate with this croissant with almond butter and like eyeballs, and it was like a whole thing, but it was fun.
Hmm. Did you mentioned the Sunny Side Up show was filmed live, and for some reason I had a feeling that it might have been. Some of these shows in Canada, I think they were kind of done the same way, but I think like
Hmm.
interviews with actors if they were promoting movies, those would be pre-recorded.
Hmm.
Did you find that there were any challenges with the Sunny Shot? That's so much harder to say. The Sunny Side Up show being recorded live and aired
I
live?
I personally loved it. I think it's like the part of me that loves to be on the edge of my seat really appreciated that it was like, I better stay with my head in the game here because we only get one shot at this. So
Hmm.
of course there were challenges in that like if something went wrong,
You couldn't
like
curse.
yeah, well, right, of course. And it's like if something's going wrong, everyone's gonna know. But when I first got hired, the guy who was running the channel at the time used to love when things went wrong because it proved we were live. Because a lot of times people thought we were just saying we were live, but we were actually live every morning from 9 a.m. to noon in between every show that came on Sprout. So it meant that we could like be in the flow of an actual day. And it's so funny. This technology sounds like so dated right now, but we had a website where kids could send us messages throughout the day, and then we would read those messages live on air. And I remember one time it was like Music Week, and I was reading a message from a kid who was like 4, who said he liked to write rap songs. This was probably like at 9:30 a.m. So I was like, oh, Darian or whatever his name was, write us a rap song. And like an hour later, he wrote a little like poem that we read on air. So it was we were able to be a little bit in dialogue. And just let things kind of feel authentic. We knew the beats of what we were doing every day, but we didn't have a script, so that we could just be present and just kind of be with whatever happened.
Hmm. So one of the things I noticed is that you also would have, shall we say, celebrities. Usually they were just the actors playing their fictional characters coming onto the show, and I mean that's really cool as well.
Yeah,
Like, I heard a little story that I had David Newell on this show. I don't know if you know David. Yeah,
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
McFeely.
I mean, a legend.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about when Margaret Hamilton came on Mr. Rogers, kind of in response
Ah,
to her being on Sesame Street portraying the Wicked
yeah,
Witch of the West, which terrified the hell out of the kids. I have since seen that episode, and yeah, I can understand why that would scare kids. Um, but apparently, he wanted to have Carol Spinney, Big Bird, come on and show how Big Bird works. And Carol's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that because kids believe
yeah,
in Big Bird, and I don't want to break that illusion."
yeah.
So I would love to know about any favorite celebrities you had come on the show, but I would love to ask you first of all on that note. Were you there when any of the Sesame Street Muppets were on the show? Because I can't really keep up with the hosts.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I Carol Spinney came through, but I was not there for that.
Okay.
I would, and I think
Because
Caitlin was
I
with
think my friend
Oscar the
Haley
Grouch.
Jenkins actually was doing the right
Oh,
hand for Oscar that
oh,
day. So
cool. Yeah, while I was at Sunny Side Up, I did not get to work with any of the Sesame Street puppeteers. I did get to work with the Wiggles, the old Wiggles and the new Wiggles, which was kind of cool. And Lori Berkner came through a bunch of times. So, people from within the kids space. But
okay.
then once we started shooting, or when I got hired, we were shooting in Philly and then we moved to New York. And so once we were in New York, we got anybody who was coming through the Today Show or Jimmy Fallon would stop by our show
Oh,
too.
nice. I love Jimmy
Yeah.
Fallon.
So we worked with Jimmy Fallon once for Snug's house. For Sunny Side Up, we had Kate McKinnon while she was on SNL, which that was amazing. And
That's
both of
kind of
us
an
were
interesting combination for a preschool thing.
well, it was we did a specific there were a couple of recurring bits that I would do on my weeks. I did this like very silly fashion character, and so she came on and like basically we were two crazy fashion ladies, and Chica was doing a fashion show, and it was like a seasonal fashion show. So we were like, "This is Chica. She will show us what she will wear in the fall," and then she would come out in a bathing suit, and we'd be like, "No, try again," and then she'd come out in the right outfit. So Kate McKinnon was a real highlight. And then John Hamm from Mad Men was
Nice. I
very,
love him too.
very funny. He was very funny. William Shatner. Mariska Hargitay from Law and Order SVU. She came when I was doing a detective bit, and the two of us were like detectives together. That was a highlight. It was so much fun.
I bet.
And Mariska Hargitay was live. Not everybody was live. A lot of people were pre-taped, but she was live and she had been in traffic coming from downtown. So we had like 7 minutes to rehearse. And so we ran through the content really quick. And then she looks at me and she's just like, I trust you. I'll follow your lead. And my like heart melted. And then I was like, okay, let's do this. And we did it. But I need to go back into my personal archives and like pull out some of these things and put them up because they're so fun. They're so fun.
I did actually see a little bit of the Jimmy Fallon appearance as I was
Oh,
getting ready for this because again, I am a big
it's in
fan
my
of these.
reel. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a big fan of these late night hosts: Jimmy Kimmel, Conan
Mm,
O'Brien, Stephen
the
Colbert,
best.
Seth Meyers, Jon Stewart. Like my dad, every
Oh,
time Jimmy Kimmel says something funny, which this past week there was a lot to comment on with Jimmy Kimmel,
uh-huh.
and I'll just leave it at that. This isn't that kind of a show. But I said to my dad, "Oh, I think you're gonna enjoy this one." And
Oh
speaking
my
of my
God.
dad, I think he would be really happy to hear that you worked with somebody from Law and Order.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Big
Yeah,
Law
it's
and
like
Order buff.
I mean it's the stuff of legends, truly. I keep saying legendary, but that's just what it is.
I've had guests who are TV actors who have been on Law and Order,
Oh wow.
and I think it was I forget which one of them said it, but they were like, if you're an actor, you've been on Law and Order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, still working my way on, but I think I do so much more hosting at this point and
Would be kind of
commercials.
funny if it had something to do with the rights to the Sunny Side Up show and you were in court for that. I don't know.
I would
Just
love that.
throwing
Yeah.
that out there.
Okay, love that. We'll let that circulate. We'll let that manifest.
But you brought up the Wiggles as well, and as I mentioned just recently, I had on one of the OG Wiggles,
Hmm.
and I actually told him I've seen the OG Wiggle, well, sort of. The three OGs with Sam at the time. This was before
Yes.
Greg came back.
Yes. Yes.
And that was a big. I was 11 at that time, and that
Oh,
was and that was a big part of my heart. And it's kind of funny when the new ones came in. Not that I have anything against them. I think they're incredibly talented, but I was a
mhm.
lot older then. And so
Yeah.
like they always include Halifax on their regular, which is where I'm from, on their
Okay.
regular Canadian runs.
Hmm.
And so literally every time they're in town, a lot of my friends have been like, "Hey, did you know the Wiggles are in town?" I was like, "Yes, but it's not the old Wiggles." And they're like, "Well, what do you
Yeah.
mean?" I was like, "Well, there's new people, and I mean, they're incredibly talented, but
Yeah.
I'm more grown up. That's more for the kids now than it would have been years ago. It was for the kids then, and I was a kid then." And
Yeah.
then a few years ago, they expanded
Right.
the lineup they have now with 8 Wiggles, and
Yeah.
they announced again they were coming back. I got so many texts from friends and family members. They're like, "Oh, you got to go to this." I was like, "No, the hell I don't." And
Ah, don't tell me what to do.
then after a while, I realized that because when the new ones came in, it was just like, ah, this just they're talented, but it's not the OGs. And then I just kind of realized, you know what? Screw it. It doesn't matter who's in the outfits, just as long as it's the same
Yeah.
music. And so I ended up buying a ticket,
Ah,
had a
and how was it?
ball. It was
Oh,
amazing. Like
great.
the new and then the next year they came back again. And I was like, okay, I'm not missing out on this one. I even made a sign that said "Wiggling since 1999."
Oh my
Through four
God.
different generations. And I actually saw them and Paul Paddock, who's Captain Feathersword, outside
Uh-huh.
the venue. Like I could see them kind of moving around outside. And so I was like, I got time. I went over, I was like, hi.
I love that. I bet they were so like excited to have someone who's been around for so long, show them some love. I think
Yeah, I got some pictures and
nice.
this is crazy. This parent came up to me right in my face. She's like, how did you do that? I'm like, what the hell? How did I do what? She's like, how'd you get them to take a picture with you? I was like, I asked, I
Oh
took
my
English
gosh.
class. I know how to use words.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she said, okay, well, what if I wanted them to get a picture with my kid? I was like, just ask them and wait for yes or no. It's a one syllable answer. It's not that hard.
Oh my God.
But what was
So
that like for
exciting.
you to get to work with, I guess, different generations of the Wiggles? Because you've got the OGs that we all remember from when we were a kid, and now these newer ones who, I guess a lot of, I guess my generation, if they saw the OG Wiggles, they'd be like, that guy's like 100 years old. But
Right, right.
they're making nostalgia now, I think, because I was still in middle school when the new ones came out, and I look back on that and I'm like, wow, what a thing that was.
Well, I mean, listen, I understand what they're doing right now with this
Oh yeah,
eight-person lineup. Like it's a
I
smart
love
business
it. I
strategy.
love it.
But to go all the way back, so my like second
Yeah,
or
sorry
third
for the
week.
long ramble about it.
No, no, no. It's no, this is all part of it. But to answer your question, like I think it was my second or third week at Sunnyside Up when the original Wiggles came to do the show, and Emma and Lockie and the other
Simon.
Simon, yeah, were there. They had like black t-shirts that said Wiggles in training, and they weren't on camera. They were just like apprenticing, so they were going with the OGs to everything. And it was like, oh, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And it was kind of sweet because they were at the beginning of their Wiggles journey, and I was at the beginning of my Sunny Side Up journey. And so there was this like sense of like, oh, all of us are like the new kids on the block. And then like a couple years later, they came back as fully formed
Sorry, you said New
Wiggles.
Kids on the Block, and I went
Oh,
totally crazy. Anyway,
I'm
carry on.
understanding. Now I'm understanding what your playlists maybe look like on your
They've
on
never
your
that
Spotify.
yeah, they don't change. So Apple Music replays the same every year.
Good. Good
All
for
Time
you.
Low, Simple Plan, Backstreet Boys.
Like you like what you like.
Yeah,
And there's so many things we can't control in this
yeah,
world. To just know what you like and to enjoy it is
yeah,
like true gift.
yeah. But yeah, anyway, the Wiggles.
Yeah, the Wiggles. So I mean, it was so cool to get to watch that kind of transition happen. And yeah, just to work beside such total pros. And yeah, I remember Anthony, yes,
Yeah,
Anthony's the
he's
blue
the blue.
Wiggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anthony and then his brother, who his name is Paul, who
Yep.
also is one of the managers, and they're
Yep.
both
Paul
from they're
actually does work with one of the companies I work for,
oh
so I've
nice.
never met him, but
He's wonderful. They're from a big family, and
Oh
so
yeah.
I've connected. I'm also from a big family, so we kind of like on Instagram will like smile back and forth at any evidence of the family's gathering. But Anthony was like impossible to wrangle on the show because he just wanted to chit chat. So we'd be like doing something, and he'd be like, "Oh, I can't do an Australian accent," but he was like
G'day,
so
mate.
kind. Yeah, right, exactly. He just wanted to like have a chit chat, and they were like in a hurry to try to get whatever we wanted to get. And I just remember whoever was directing that day had to be like, "Yes, Anthony, thank you so much. Okay, let's take that again." He just wanted to have a good time, and I
That's
got it.
kind
I
of
was
what
like,
it
I
was
would stay
like when
all
I
day.
that's kind of what it was like when I met him because me
Yeah,
meeting them outside of the venue, as I said, prompted a whole bunch of other people. And in particular, the attention went mostly to Anthony
yeah, he's hilarious.
And to
Oh, and
Sahai, who is the current
oh,
yellow.
he's so
Um,
cool. Oh my
she's
God, she's
very cool.
such an incredible dancer.
Yeah, I
I
think I
follow
wore
everybody online,
I think I
so
was wearing like a 90s t-shirt and she was wearing a Spice Girls t-shirt and
oh
so
my gosh.
I showed her mine. She's like, "Oh my God, slay." And
Ah, oh my gosh, which is like she's so young and cool.
I
Like,
know.
wow.
But with Anthony, like so many parents kept approaching him. Can I take a
Yeah.
picture? Can I take a picture? And he actually took pictures with freaking everybody.
That is, I'm not even surprised in the slightest. He just feels like that kind of a guy. And I think they all are like, they know what they signed up for. Like, people love them and I think that the kind of person that's going to do that job knows that, responsibility is an intense word, but it's like, they're doing something that means a lot to people and I think it's something that they're happy to do.
Yeah, and Murray had mentioned that when Jeff came into the picture and they started doing the Wake Up Jeff thing,
Uh-huh.
it was really just a thing for the kids to feel like they had control over an adult. And I mean,
Hmm.
to a kid that is
Love that.
very very satisfying. I remember when I
Yeah.
saw the in part OGs.
Yeah.
Um, they asked, "Okay, Jeff's falling asleep. What are we gonna do to wake up Jeff? Anybody have any suggestions?" They ended up singing that song, "Wake Up Jeff, Everybody's Wiggling." Wait, I think that's what
Uh-huh.
they did.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody in the audience actually yelled, "Kiss him."
Huh? I mean, that could do the trick.
I would have said just get something that smells really really bad, like a fish, and just wave it over him. That'll wake him up.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I still have a puppy who every morning I wake up and she's right on me. So, but I think Jeff sleeps standing up. So.
That's hilarious. I mean, yeah, they're very smart at the way they build interaction into their music.
Mm. And I mean like the new ones now like because Murray was the guitar player with the band like even if
Hmm.
the other Wiggles didn't have instruments Murray's always got that guitar and so like I asked him was there any talk of when Simon took over for you was it going to be
Yeah.
play your guitar with Simon he's like no we just wanted Simon to be himself and rightfully so
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
said well even without an instrument Simon and Lucky too they're both incredibly musical.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah, it's amazing. The whole little empire.
Mm. So you stayed when Sprout was rebranded as Universal Kids. Of
Hmm.
course, Sunny Side Up Show, no, or Sunny Side Up, I guess it was later called. It doesn't
Hmm.
really matter. It still has it in the
No,
name.
yeah. Yeah.
But that was no longer there. But you did host Snug's House. Was that kind of like meant to replace it, or was it just like, okay, we got a new thing, but we have this host who's still there. Let's keep her on.
Yeah. Yeah, they wanted to I think with the rebranding from Sprout to Universal Kids, they wanted the whole channel to age up a little. And
Okay.
so, Chica because of her squeaker and because of like really the puppet that she was had limitations in
Oh,
terms of what
Chica
she
was
could do.
female. Okay, I didn't
Yes.
realize
Oh,
that.
listen, it's fine. She's cool with it. But they wanted to age up the whole show, and so I think rather than have the show go through a rebranding, they just sunsetted Sunny Side Up. They introduced Snug's House, which was initially, fun fact, Sprout House, and then they were like, actually, let's make it Snug's House. Just so because I think maybe they knew they were going to get rid of the name Sprout or something. But the nice thing about Snug is that he had a little more mobility and he could like speak in whole words. So you could just get a little more mileage out of some of the social and emotional content that we made with Snug. And and they ended up moving out of live and into fully pre-taped because they realized people weren't actually watching the network live anymore. So I think we had a year of Snug's House, and then they sort of were like, we have enough banked here, and we don't know what's happening with the network, so they kind of let everybody else just go. And
Okay, I was
then
wondering that,
yeah.
why you ended up
Yeah.
leaving. Yeah.
Yeah. They ended the contract and they were like, we'll call you back as needed rather than have you full time. And I went back for like a couple random things. And I also had like while we were shooting Sunny Side Up, maybe I was in Canada to shoot the Big Fun Crafty Show for Universal Kids. Actually,
Right,
the
yeah, that was
making
going
of
to be my
Snug's
next
house.
question, actually.
Yeah. Oh, funny. We're like connected. I'm teeing you up, and I don't even know it.
I love it.
Um,
I love it.
yeah. So, yeah, and yeah, Big Fun Crafty must have been once it was Universal Kids because that was a more aged up show too. So yeah, the 2018 is when I did my last stuff with uh Universal Kids. And then 2019 was the start of the Nat Geo Weird But True show.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
was it like to do Big Fun Crafty?
Ugh, it was so fun. It was so insane. We shot 2 episodes a day for like 4 or 5 weeks. So we shot 40 episodes in like a month. And it was wild, but it was so fun to work with real kids. So it was an arts and crafts competition show, and every episode we'd give the kids a arts and crafts challenge. They were working in teams of two, and they built the most amazing, extraordinary things. They were so creative, and yeah, it was really fun to run a game show. And we'd have a group of us that would sort of decide on the winner together in real time. So the kids would leave the room, and then we'd, based on a criteria that had been like pre-decided, we'd decide who the winner was. And there was one episode where the people in the group were split 3 ways, where everybody was like, no, it's
Mhm.
got to be this person, and here's why. And it was people like the art department was like, from an art perspective it has to be this one. And it got so intense that the director, without even calling the network, was like, we're going to call this a 3-way tie. It's the only time it's going to happen the whole season, that so no one can tell me no, and that's how we're going to do it. And so in one episode we actually had a tie because all three projects were so incredible. I believe it was the
Wow.
guitars episode. Yeah, either guitars or planets. I can't quite remember.
It's amazing. We had a show kind of like that here in Canada.
Oh
Not
yeah?
really a competition show,
Okay.
but it was basically focused on making stuff, making crafts. It was called Crazy Quilt.
Oh, fun.
I'll send you a link.
Please do.
I think it was the way I'm remembering this is that it was mostly based upon stories. So
Oh,
let's say
cool.
they wanted to make like a story about a dragon. They'd make a dragon out of whatever they had, like out of construction
Yeah.
paper. They cut it out in the shape, or that's the gist
I
of it.
love
But
that.
yeah,
I
no,
love that.
it was a pretty good show. For any of our listeners who remember the show, let me know because
Ha!
it was a classic. It was a classic for
A
my generation.
classic.
Going back to Sprout, actually, probably my most popular episode of Nostalgia Talk, although we just did a pretty big one recently with Murray from The Wiggles, so maybe that'll face a little bit of competition. But probably my most popular one as of this moment is reuniting some of the cast of Lazy Town, which, of course, when it came
Ah,
back, it was on Sprout.
yes,
I'm trying to
amazing.
remember if they actually were on any of the programming blocks. I feel like Stephanie or Sporticus was. Because
I think
I had Stephanie on here.
they were both on before my
Okay.
time. And then while I was on the show, Bean came through, who was like a later sort of like kind of like Stephanie. I actually didn't watch a ton of Lazy Town. So, but she had like purple hair. I don't know. She was really sweet. Uh, I remember the day that we shot with her, Taylor Swift's Red album had just come out.
Oh God,
And
don't get my sister started.
but it was so sweet because it like we played and like sang and like that kind of like loosened her up, and we had a really nice time with her. But yeah, no Stephanie and no Sporticus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I remember seeing pictures of them on one of those
Yeah.
programming blocks, but
They definitely did it.
yeah,
I was just
my
before my
brain is
time.
having a bit of a hard time keeping up with who was hosting what.
Listen, I have a hard time and I was on the show.
That's you have a different reason for it.
That's fair.
I'm researching it. I should know this stuff. Um, but actually, I was watching your host reel, preparing
Hmm,
for this.
cool.
And I saw a clip where you were speaking in sign language, and I really, really do like
Oh,
seeing that. I mean,
yeah, that
just
was
in general, because I knew Bob from Sesame Street for a time before he passed away.
oh wow.
And of course, his character, his relationship with Linda, who was deaf and communicated in sign language, and Bob did too. I
Hmm.
remember in grade one, or our teacher, Miss Stewart. Hi, Miss Stewart, if you're listening. She always, at the end of every day in grade one, she would have us do the alphabet in sign language.
Oh yeah, I can. I
I
was
don't
in a
remember it now.
I can do it, but it's because I was in a production of The Miracle Worker at my community theater. So I like it's the story of Helen Keller. So I like learned for
Oh,
that. Um, but yeah, that was a wonderful segment. We had some students on the show and we learned some sign language with them and we signed the happy birthday song with them and it was wonderful. When
I
we
think
got
I
to do
remember
stuff.
learning that too, the happy birthday
Yeah.
song. I can't
I mean, I
remember.
certainly couldn't do it now, but I can do my name. I know my name, and then I can spell my name. Uh, yeah. When we
So,
got to
and I
have
and
real
I know
kids
that
on the
none
show,
of
it
the
was great.
listeners can see it, but this with your
Oh,
fingers is my name.
yeah. I think it's my, like point to yourself, and then
Okay.
name is like your first two fingers, your like pointer finger and your middle finger together, and then you kind of like stack them on top of each other. Name,
Okay. At
I
least
think.
okay, it looks less threatening than I thought.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up though because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah,
But
especially
yeah,
in the world we live in now.
I know, and I'm gonna get ruined. But no, it was really fun. Anytime we got to have real kids on the show, it was super special.
Hmm. So, to kind of wrap it up, I would love to talk about Weird But True, and I got a little surprise for you actually. When
Oh,
I announced that I was doing this, my sister told me, "Wait, she hosts Weird But True?" And I was like, "You know the show?" She's like, "Actually, I have some of the books, and I
oh,
know none of the listeners can see, but
cool.
I'm holding it up. I feel like we have more than this because I saw it recently.
Oh, that's so
But
funny.
this is, and I tried looking for it, before, looking for more before I came to my little recording room here. But
Uh-huh.
this is Weird But True Christmas edition,
Oh, fun. Love
even
it.
even though it's April. But I'm having a look at some of the, oh, this would have been it's written from my parents. Merry Christmas, Eliza, 2017. My
Oh
parents
my gosh.
always put that in little books they
Uh,
would get us for Christmas and stuff. Um, but I'm having a look at some of these. I'll share maybe just only three of them so we can actually get into talking about it. Because there was one in here that really stuck with me.
it's really fun, the facts
So,
that
Italian
franchise has.
children look out for Bifana, a friendly witch who comes down the chimney to bring candy and toys on Christmas, which immediately just makes me think of that song by Blink-182, I Miss You. We'll have Halloween on Christmas, and in the night we'll wish this never ends.
I love that
You're
association.
already the voice inside my
My
head.
head.
Oh,
Oh, it's good.
fact number two, a man legally named Santa Claus was elected to the City Council of North Pole, Alaska, USA in
Oh,
2015. And
wow.
it's funny, I once saw Seth Rogen on Phineas and Ferb. They used to do like a talk show that was an interstitial show. And Phineas, I'm using air quotes because he's obviously not really interviewing. Vincent Martella, who's doing the voice, is really interviewing. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, "We hear you're from Canada. Have you ever seen Santa Claus?" And Seth's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah. He actually lives right next door to me. It has a picture. My
Oh
house,
my
which
God.
is an igloo, Santa's house, which is another igloo."
That's so funny.
And there was something in here. This will be the last one I show before I get into actually talking about it. But there was something I saw in here that the largest gingerbread house was actually made out of sugar and all the stuff you'd make used to make a gingerbread house. It was the size of an actual house and it was 2 stories.
Oh my God. No way.
Hmm. You guys are gonna have to check these out. I mean, these weird but true books very much are worth reading.
There's
I
a
think.
game too. I think I have the game. Somebody
I
got it
believe
for me.
that. I
Yeah.
totally believe that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real like I think they've done a lot under the umbrella of Weird But True. So like books and even our show, there were two seasons of it before I was on as a co-host that
Oh, okay,
Charlie,
cool.
yeah. Charlie, the co-creator, did the first two seasons with his sister, and then she decided she wanted to move on to other projects, and so I came in to co-host the third season with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was that like to host that show? Because I mean, from what I've seen of the Sunny Side Up show, you are such a good host. I mean, you
Oh,
are incredibly outgoing as a host,
oh.
and that's just what that's what a host should be.
Oh, thank you so much. It was fun. It was different than Sunny Side Up in that it was not live. So we were doing, takes over and over again, which I honestly had to get used to at first. I was like, what do you mean I gotta do it three more times? I already gave you my best take. What do
Yeah,
you
this
mean?
is why I like
Uh,
film and TV a little bit more than I like theater, but I do
yeah.
love doing videography for theater. That's
I
yeah,
get it.
I said to the guy who got me involved in the show, I think I'm going to stick with that. If I'm going to do theater, I just want to film. I'm doing
Yeah.
another one of his shows, so
I love it. I love it. We get to notice what we like and then seek that out.
right.
Um, but so the show kind of took place. One third of it was in our studio,
Hmm.
which was like a cool headquarters where we would come up with, we'd have the theme of the episode, we'd introduce like a problem, and then we would kind of go out into the world and meet an expert in whatever field the episode's theme was in. And then there were like segments where we would explain different scientific aspects of whatever the episode was about, and a lot of those were like sort of these like dress up segments, like we'd be in crazy costumes as different characters, and instead of in many shows they have animations that come in to explain different science. For Weird But True, it was handcrafted paper puppets. So
Oh
specifically
wow.
yeah, like in our dinosaurs episode, there's some details about dinosaurs and the explanation of fossils versus bones or whatever. And instead of cutting to an animation, it cuts to you might look at it and think it's like a 2D animation, but all of it was handcrafted and hand puppeteered. And that's all Charlie. It was really important to him that everything be practical and nothing be animated. So yeah, it was a ton of fun to get to do field work and to be out in the world. We shot the show from 2019 up through February of 2020. And so the 8 months that we were shooting that show, I counted and we took 45 flights because we were
Oh
just
my
in and out
God.
over. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember this was again end of February 2020. I get back to Brooklyn where I was living at the time,
I
and I'm
think I
like,
know where
I
this is going.
I was like, I'm just gonna relax for a month. I don't want to get on an airplane for a while. In fact,
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think I
looks
want
like
to
the
see
world was
people
going to
for
be
a few
doing
weeks.
that.
It was so bizarre to like crash land, but also thank God we finished the show just
Yeah.
in time. So yeah, and the last thing I'll say about Weird But True, so it's at this point it's like 6 years old, but a lot the science is eternal, I think. But I was watching the our rockets episode last night because we went to the facility in Mississippi where NASA builds rockets. And so I wanted to check to see if the Artemis 2 had been in any of our shots while they were building it. And it wasn't. There's a moment where we're in front of the Artemis 3, which will go next year to the moon. So I got to put my hands on part of the Artemis 3, and they were like, now your handprints are on this piece of equipment, and this equipment is going to go to the moon. And I thought that was really cool. So it was fun to
Unless they
watch
wiped
that.
it off, but I doubt they
No,
probably would.
James, they didn't wipe it off. They didn't wipe it off. But
No,
yeah,
in all seriousness, I mean, I know I'm kind of screwing around, but no, that is actually really cool. So, in a way, you're sort of going to the moon. Your DNA is.
1 year from now, when that mission happens, that's what I'm gonna tell everybody. Your girl's
You and
going to
I
the
are gonna
moon.
have to
Yeah,
watch that live. Like,
yeah, right.
we'll do it. We'll do another Zoom call and we'll watch it
Yep.
live.
For old time's sake, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it was cool to go back and watch that last night though, and see all the part like the behind the scenes at NASA. And I mean the facility where they build the rockets is just insane. It's the size of I think 40 football fields side by side by side, and everybody has like
Jeez.
golf carts and bicycles that they ride to get to one from one end to the other. Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, to finish up, are you working on anything at the moment that you can talk about or that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So, I guess I'll give a shout out to a lot of my work right now is in podcasts.
Oh,
Because kids
nice.
kids podcasting has had a couple of years of real momentum, and I've really found a happy place in that little slice of the industry. So there's a show that we're not making new episodes of right now, but I adore the show so much. So if you haven't heard it, it's called Who When Wow Mystery Edition.
Ooh.
And I'm sort of like playing a version of myself, but my character goes back in time and explores unsolved mysteries through history, and it's super super fun.
And this
So
is for kids.
it's for kids, yeah. And
That
it's
sounds a
really,
little bit like Scooby-Doo.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's got elements to a lot of a lot of I don't know, like sci-fi kind of stuff, mystery stuff. So I love that show. And then I am an advisor on a show called Terrestrials, which is from WNYC Studios and Radiolab. And it's science. It's a science show, but I really love the editing style, and the host Lulu Miller is so excellent. So those two projects I'm excited about right now. And then there's two other podcast projects I can't talk about right now, but hopefully those will be out in the next, I think, year. And so I'll be able, I'll share more on my social media. But
Cool.
and then maybe just a fun fact is I am the voice of Southwest Airlines. So if you listen to a radio or TV commercial, maybe less so in Canada, but in the States, if you ever hear a commercial for Southwest, it's usually my voice coming on at the end to say like whatever I say.
Well, I haven't gone to the States in God knows how long, but my
It's
parents
fine.
were just in San Diego,
Ah,
and I don't know what flight I know Air Canada was part of it, but I
uh-huh.
don't know what other flights were, but I'll let them know that.
You got,
I'll be
let the
like,
people
hey,
know.
hey, Dad, I got some
Yeah.
fun, I got a little anecdote for you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
well, that's all I've got here. Is there anything you want to say to
Great.
wrap up?
No, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to talk about some of this stuff and, travel down memory lane and yeah, making Sunny Side Up and Big Fun Crafty and Snug's House and Weird But True. All that was just so much fun. So it's fun to talk about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carly, for coming on
Thank
Nostalgia Talk.
you.
Finally, we made it work.
We did it! Yay!
Yeah, and maybe I'll ask you to come back for a bonus.
Totally. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm available.
Yeah, that's
Great.
something I do, Nostalgia Talk bonus. I do them in various different ways. I actually just posted a Darkwing Duck video.
Oh, cool.
I took out some clips of previous guests talking about their experiences being involved in that show, and I just collated them. I actually
Okay.
have a new movie retrospective coming out this weekend to
Cool.
all of our listeners, so stay tuned for that.
Oh,
They're hard to make, but they're fun to make.
love it.
And sometimes I have brought back past guests,
Mm,
so I would love
okay.
to have you come back one day.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
Well, keep me posted and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners, first of all, follow Someplace Believing on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're there. If any of my friends who missed out on Saturday shows, um, are interested, we are planning to do more shows. And a big thank you to some of my friends for coming out to support the show. It's your support that we're able to do more shows, or at least we're able to talk about doing more shows. And for Nostalgia Talk, you guys know where to go. Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky. That's where I'm going to be sharing information on new guests. So I will see you soon. Peace out.